Now I guess come to one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I think most doctors in my generation would perhaps have come to know your name through your role within the National PNG AIDS Council. And it was quite a stir and controversial, but looking back, how do you feel and what was it like?
Well, I feel, well, joyful, the fact that at least HIV/AIDS was addressed properly. And I again thank God for this opportunities to have had that input, because looking back at it, you feel satisfied. You did do something, at least to do the best thing. But the history of it is yet space for another book. But very quickly, the AIDS response was very basic. It wasn't complicated. We saw the diversity of our country with that one language, KOAP. The diversity, how would we describe sexual intercourse in a very diverse society? How would we describe it? That was the first question that came. So we looked around and said, oh, so at that time, chairman was Dr. Puka Temu. Well, I went to him and I said, Dr. Temu, we need to, get this advocacy going. We cannot just stand still. We got to get it going. We got to have a program, because it's quite it's a sensitive issue for our country. If you say KOAP in public, wow, you will get all sorts of comments. So we saw that risk very clearly. So we did two things. One was, first we went to the I tried to the church medical council. Then I realized maybe if I talk to a senior in the church, that will help us. So I went to the bishop, Catholic bishop, and I said, look, I sort of align with your religion, but how can we do this, say this word, sexual intercourse in public? What he told me was he couldn't answer the question. So I realized, oh, yes. And then I went to the censorship board to say, look, can we use this word? So they said, no problems. You go ahead, because it's a public health issue. So bang, those were the two things that gave me courage. And despite the fact that the Dr. Temu said, you have been appointed as director, you do it yourself, not me. So, so I took courage and I said, okay, we'll just go for it. And at that time, we had superb support. And this is where I mean, when we have good understanding people from outside, we had very good DFAT officers at that time who understood us. And therefore they said, look, and they provided the background support, the advocacy materials, everything for us to do it, which is what happened. And so the word KOAP came in public, and I became labeled as Dr. Condom and so on. Because then we were able to use social marketing. We use condom with no problems. And now you have had condoms on the shelves of places everywhere. People understood what prevention needed to be taken for condom use, etc., for even for family planning. Everything took shape, I think.